Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Hi, I'm Brian. Here's some Reddit. Am I a jerk for asking my friend to use the generic profile on my Netflix? I really think that this is ridiculous and absurd, which is why I'm here. I'm a 37-year-old female, and I have a friend who lives very frugally. I don't judge her because I think being frugal is better than being a spendthrift. We make around the same salary and we're both married, and she has a toddler and I have a 3-year-old and 2 tweens. About a year or so ago, I made a reference to a scene in one of my favorite TV shows on Netflix, Black Mirror. She said the show sounded interesting and she wanted to watch it. She asked for my Netflix password and I gave it to her and told her that there's a generic guest profile for her to use. My husband created this profile for his younger brother to use. My husband and I share a profile. The twins each have their own profile, and the toddler uses the kid's profile with parental controls. The tweens have been arguing and accusing each other of messing up their algorithms. I looked at the watch history and I noticed a lot of true crime and horror shows and movies. I noticed the same in our profile, and the husband confirmed that he hasn't watched those. I suspected my friend had been watching them. I casually brought it up to my friend and explained that it's causing a lot of conflict between the twins. She chuckled and said that she's been choosing random profiles to watch her shows instead of the guest profile. She added that I should create a profile just for her, and the twins need to learn how to just share. I disagreed, and I told her to please stick to the guest profile. She didn't listen, so I changed the Netflix password. She called me a jerk and accused me of not knowing how to share. She said the twins have learned their selfish behavior from me, and I'm really angry and I want to cut her off completely. Is there anything else? No, there's nothing else. Alright. No, you're not the jerk here. This is absolutely absurd. You gave her free Netflix and just told her the only condition of using Netflix is for you to stick to the guest profile. But no, that was too much to ask from you. So now she loses her Netflix privileges. You aren't being selfish. She's being a jerk by not following the rules, the basic rules that you established. So yeah, no, not the jerk. Not the jerk. Oh, hey, you know that one thing you asked when you gave me free access to your streaming service? I decided to completely ignore it because I know better. Also, you need to learn to let me do whatever I want or I'll try to shame you. Yeesh. I mean, a pretty minor thing in itself, but geez, the attitude. Yeah. Alright, our next story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Saying That I Thought My Other Stepsister Would Be More of My Stepsister's Fiancé's Type? I moved back to the UK from the US in July. My mum and her husband didn't want me to move back in with them, so I had to go and live with my dad and stepmom. My 2 stepsisters are both living at home too. I had no idea that the youngest, Ellie, was dating someone, let alone engaged. So I was super shocked when they brought up her upcoming wedding the first day that I was there. I asked if she could show me a picture of him, and she gave me some BS excuse. I asked my younger bio sister, who was living with her mom, if she met him before, and she said she had. She claimed that he was loaded and hot. I didn't believe her because my sister has a habit of either lying or exaggerating, and I didn't think Ellie would go for someone like that. 2 weeks ago, Ellie broke her laptop, and she needed to work from home. So she was super stressed because she couldn't find anyone to fix it quickly and had to borrow my dad's one. Last Sunday, her fiancé showed up with a new laptop for her and a few other things. My sister was right. He is hot. Our parents insisted that he stay for dinner, and honestly, I'm shocked Ellie is his type. I asked him a lot of questions about himself, and he seemed charming and successful. He would honestly be better suited for someone like my other stepsister. When he left, I made a comment about just how by looking at him, you would think he would date my other stepsister instead. Ellie didn't say anything and just walked off. But My other stepsister yelled at me. I tried to explain that I didn't mean it as an insult, and people are regularly judged based on appearances, and it wasn't like I was saying the fiancé should leave her for her sister. Now my dad is implying that I might have to go stay with my mum after all. I think this is unfair because Ellie could go stay with her fiancé and I have nowhere else to go. Am I the jerk? You know, OP, sometimes you should choose not to say things aloud. I mean, this was not a filter. OP, you need a filter. And not to say things like this, because this is just, I don't know what you were thinking here. No matter how you phrase this was going to come out insulting. You don't imply that based on looks, you would think someone else would be better suited for someone else. It just is in poor taste. So yeah, you're a jerk here for insinuating that your stepsister is not pretty enough for this guy, or whatever you're insinuating here. Because it just seems like, based on looks, and if we're going by based on looks with what you're saying here, that you're implying that Ellie is not attractive enough for this hot guy. So, yeah, I think you're a jerk here. I don't think you should be making implications like this. As for having to move out, maybe you should just apologize profusely and try to make amends. I don't know. That might work better towards you, to smooth things over, unburn the bridges, things like that. You're the jerk. You told your stepsister to her face that she isn't pretty enough to be with her fiancé, and that you'd expect him to be with someone prettier. Your father is right to ask you to leave. I love to know how you could possibly think that you weren't the jerk here. So, yeah, I think that about sums it up. Our last story is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Letting My Cousin Borrow My Favorite Book? Too long didn't read. I didn't let my cousin borrow my book because it means too much to me, and my family isn't happy about it. Alright, we're done here. Alright, no, I'm just kidding. We'll read the whole thing. I'm a 20-year-old male, and I'm a big reader. I have a pretty big collection of books. Normally, no need to brag here, OP. Jeez, you're already the jerk. Normally, I have no problem letting my friends and family borrow books of mine. My sister and I are constantly swapping books back and forth. The other day, my cousin, Chris, a 12-year-old male, fake name, was over and he brought up that he wanted to read Ready Player One. He just saw the movie and wanted to compare. In hindsight, I really wish I had kept my mouth shut. But I got excited and started going off about how it's probably my favorite book of all time. My aunt suggested that he just borrow my copy of the book. Normally this wouldn't be an issue. I've lent plenty of books to him before. However, I don't always get them back, and I usually have to remind them multiple times to please return my books when they're done with them. Or just go over to their place and get them myself. I don't mind too much because I have a lot of books, and I know I'll get them back eventually. Now, if I just had any copy of Ready Player One, sure, he could borrow it, no problem. But my specific copy means a bit more to me. I went to a private high school. Grad class was just under 30 kids, and when we graduated, the teachers found books that they thought each student would like. And then they all signed it. So you can probably guess that they got me Ready Player One, and it has all of my teachers' signatures and little messages inside. The reason that means so much to me is that I went through a really bad depression in high school, and most of my teachers were always there to talk to me and help me. So, to this day, whenever I start feeling down, I read all the messages they left in the book and remember all the good memories I had there. So, after I politely told my aunt and cousin that I didn't want them to take my copy, it turned into a lot of, "Come on, it's just a book. You know, we'll give it back. He's not going to do anything bad to it." I should mention that a few of my books have been returned with dog ears, small rips, or things spilled on them. My mom tried to tell me that he's your cousin, you can do something nice for him. At the end of the day, I said no, and they weren't happy with me. My mom and dad both told me later that night that I was being really rude and that I need to apologize and let him borrow the book, although I believe he already bought his own copy. I know it's just a book, but I still don't want to let it go. Am I the jerk? Edit. First of all, thank you to everyone for the support. One thing that I wanted to clarify is that I do not mind lending books. It's just this one specific book that I don't want to lend out. Also, as easy as it is getting a library copy, believe it or not, my town does not have a public library. Regardless, they can still just buy their own book. Alright, OP. No, I don't think that you're the jerk here. I think that you have a pretty good reason. But where I think that you might have gone a little wrong here, and that's not to justify anything that happened, was that you probably should have told your cousin and your aunt and your mom and dad that this book particular is a memento and that it means a lot to you. So I think sometimes we forget, we get into our own headspace and we don't really want to kind of communicate the reasons why we're uncomfortable with things. So I think if you had communicated that a little more clearly and a little more effectively, they would have realized that this book was more than just a book. And maybe at the time you just didn't know how to articulate it. But I think that coming up with this explanation and talking to people and saying, this book means a lot to me because it's a memento, it has a lot of personal value, people are going to be a lot more willing to accept that kind of explanation than, oh, I just don't want to let this particular book go away. And maybe that's also a side of yourself that makes you feel vulnerable, and so you don't want to really talk about that. And so that might have been a reason why you would have just not said anything. But sometimes it's better to open up and explain something and kind of get it off your chest too. So, yeah. No, you're not the jerk. Not the jerk. It's not just a book. It's a sentimental object that helped you through a tough time. You don't gotta give them stuff just because you own stuff. They probably still owe you some books. Not the jerk. Even if they haven't mistreated books in the past, you'd still not be. It's a personal item with a personal meaning. Ask your parents if they'd let them borrow something that means as much to them. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. If you didn't, consider giving me a dislike. Also, consider subscribing if you made it this far. I mean, what's it hurt? I read Reddit every day. And, let me know in the comments below what you think of the video or what you think of the stories. Today, I tried to respond to all the comments as they came out, and I was successful, so I'm trying to stay on top of them a little bit more than I have in the past. So again, thanks so much for watching, thanks for all the comments, thanks for all the likes, thanks for everything, and we'll see you all tomorrow.